One day, while lying on my bed and daydreaming, a few strange questions came to mind. What if God hid messages explaining the mysterious workings of reality as codes in language? If God planned for someone to find the codes, would he have put the codes in a language that person already knew? If not, how would they ever find the codes? So if I was destined to find the codes, the messages explaining the mysterious workings of reality, wouldn't God have hid the codes in the English language, since it's the language I know best? As I laid there daydreaming, I dreamt up a technique God could have used to hide the codes in the English language. First, I envisioned vertically stacked keywords. Follow along with the video to see what I'm describing. I stacked keyword number 1 on top of keyword number 2 and keyword number 2 on top of keyword number 3. The keywords asked a question when read from top to bottom. So keyword number 1 plus keyword number 2 plus keyword number 3 asked a question. I decided the keywords had to be unambiguous in order to ask a clear question and result in a clear, unambiguous answer. To create the answer to the question made with the keywords, I decided I would connect the keyword letters horizontally, vertically, or diagonally to make new words which would become the answer. Lastly, I'd arrange the answer words into sentences and then punctuate the answer. I kicked off the testing of my decoding method with the most profound question I could imagine. What is God's origin? To ask my question using my decoding technique, I needed some unambiguous keywords. The first keyword I decided on was the name God, since it identified the entity I wanted to pinpoint the origin of. So keyword number 1 became God. The second keyword I decided on was the word heaven. Why? Because it narrowed down which entity named God keyword number 1 was referring to, meaning God of heaven rather than God of the underworld or some guy named God who might happen to live in Missouri, or some pet like a hamster named God. So keyword number 2 became heaven. My goal was to determine God's origin. So I chose the word origin to be the third keyword. Now read the keywords in a downward fashion. God, heaven, origin. Or, what is God of heaven's origin? I came up with a fourth and final keyword, one which would define the intent of my stacked question. The fourth keyword I came up with was the word answer. So now the keywords read as, what is God of heaven's origin? Provide me with the answer. I termed the stacked keywords a query stack. It occurred to me that it would be easier to connect the keyword letters if the query stack was a lattice of evenly spaced letters. So I left aligned the keywords, so the first letter of each keyword was in the same column. And then I made a separate column for each keyword's subsequent letters. Let's review what I've done so far to make my query stack. 1. I determined a question. 2. I outlined the question with unambiguous keywords. 3. I stacked the keywords vertically, causing a question to be asked when the keywords were read from top to bottom. 4. I left aligned the keywords. 5. I aligned the stacked keyword letters in columns. To make an answer, I began connecting the keyword letters horizontally, vertically, and diagonally. Connecting letters diagonally caused leftover letters to be produced though, like the letter R in the example on screen. and as a result, incoherent answers were formed. I didn't want any keyword letters left unconnected, so I made a rule stating every keyword letter must help form the answer. I also decided keyword letters could only be connected horizontally and vertically, and that each keyword letter could only be used one time to make an answer word. By making these strict rules, I knew it would be harder to make an answer, and therefore, if I did come up with an answer, it would be harder to dispute its authenticity. I began reconnecting letters, doing so only horizontally and vertically. The first two letters I connected were the letters G and the letters O of the word God, and I made the word go. Next, I connected the first two letters of the word heaven, the letters H and the letter E, to make the word he. In the third row, I saw the word or, so I connected its letters. The next two words were harder to find than the first three, because their letters weren't put in the query stack in regular reading order, or left to right. Those two words I found were winner and gains. See how the letters have to be rearranged to form the two words? 4 letters remained unconnected. At first, I had trouble spelling a word with them, but finally, in a freaky aha type moment, I realized they spelled the name Dave, which is a shortened version of the name David. David, that is my name. Now that I connected all of the query stack letters according to my rules, I needed a method to arrange the words into an answer. I decided to take the answer words out of the query stack in a top left to bottom right fashion, like the direction an English paragraph is read. I figured if I came up with a strict sequencing rule, the validity of my answer would be less debatable. Lastly, I punctuated the answer. It said, "Go Dave, he winner or gains." A coherent message. A personal message. What were the chances of it being a frivolous coincidence? None. A preset personal message instilled within specific words, waiting since the dawn of time to be uncovered.